Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We got some L5P content for you. Nothing too crazy. This video is long overdue. Big thank you to Nick for making it happen. But we have my 2018 L5P here. If you're new to the channel, bought this because everyone said L5Ps were great. And I tell you what, they did not lie. Absolutely stout units. Have loved every minute of driving this thing, except for maybe putting in def, but I digress. Anyway, as you guys can see here, it is still emissions on. Makes about 620 horsepower on fuel. We have made almost 740 horsepower on spray. It has Whirly intercooler pipes, Whirly intake, Whirly mouthpiece, a fleece map spacer relocation kit. It also has tuning for the TCM and ECM provided from our good friends over at Calibrated Power Duramax Tuner. Now today, we're going to address a problem that really most of these factory trucks have, or it can be a problem. Now on the Duramaxes especially, they're kind of known for snapping crankshafts and some of that design, some of that vibration as well. So we have an awesome product from our friends over at Fluidampr. If you have lived under a rock with my channel, I'm sorry, but we have this on my 6-liter. Every Cummins truck in the parking lot. We love their stuff. They sent me one of their new L5P kits along with the friction washer and upgraded ARP fastener. Now, if you're new to Duramaxes, that crank bolt is torqued. I'll have to look up the spec before I do it, but I want to say it's like over 300 foot-pounds. So this is no small task to break it off. Now, most of the time we do this on a lift, but I'm going to humor you guys and do it on the ground. That way no one can say that I cheated. It made it look easy. We're going to do it on the ground. The only tools you're really going to need are this socket here, which is a 36 millimeter 12 point. You're going to need one of these. I highly recommend a quality brand. Now we do it with a 1/2 inch. Never had an issue with a 1/2 inch. I know some guys like 3/8. I've even seen some guys use 1 inch, but again, 1/2 inch with our snap-on stuff seems to break it right off. And then the only other thing you're gonna need is one of these. This is for your 6-speed. So your 10-speed guys, don't know, haven't done one, can't help you. This is for your 6-speed Allisons. I'm assuming this also works on the 5-speds as well, but this is what you need to torque it. Now, a little cheat code I've found from friends and whatever, we don't actually try to loosen the bolt by hand. What we do is we jam a breaker bar up against there. I usually use a ratchet strap to hold it essentially tight against the frame, and I let the starter break the bolt for me. I've had good luck with it. We're gonna give it a shot here. If it doesn't work, I'll be the first one to let y'all know it does not work. To do this job, we have to start by removing our serpentine belt. On my truck, it's not too bad. I'm gonna just take this intake pipe out, make it a lot easier to get to the tensioner down there. Could you do it without it? I'm sure you could, but since I'm trying to show you guys as well as do the video, I'm gonna go ahead and just remove this. It's really easy. Pop this cover off, give me a good chance to look at the air filter that I have not changed since I've gotten this kit, and then just maybe take a look in the turbo, see if we have a bunch of oil getting sucked back through there through the recirc. I've been looking at some CCV reroute kits, specifically I think the VSE kit. It also has like the extended oil fill, which would be nice to have as well on this truck. But I'm gonna go ahead and get to work, and then once we get the belt off, from there we'll get it set up to bust this free. All right, remembering how my factory L5P intake was, I'm pretty sure you would have to take that off even if we did not have a cold air intake, but got a little oil in there. Seems to be a pretty common problem on these things. Oh well. Now, you guys will see the belt tensioner located right there. 1/2-inch drive. You're gonna want to rotate it in, and then we can basically loosen the belt. I don't want to get too crazy and have to reroute the whole sucker, so I'm gonna try to do my best here to let's see. Man, ain't much steel left on these trucks, that's for sure. But let me slip this old girl in here. Down we go. Gonna be a fighter. All right, give me a sec. Okay, belt's disconnected. We're just going to leave it, the ratchet kind of pressed up against the thermostat housing. Now, we're gonna go underneath. Knowing that this is a Duramax, I already know I'm gonna have to take some skid plate bolts off. So let's roll under there and see what we're working with. All right, so we gotta get the front skid plate off, I believe. Yeah, front one. So couple of 13s, as you can see, mine's already kind of broken, pretty typical, but I'm gonna get these buzzed off here. So I misspoke. It's 15 mil bolts, so I'm sure somebody in the comments will correct me. You guys are pretty good about that. And there is our damper right there. Now it's interesting, this is the first L5P I've done, and already I'm learning right along with you guys. It's actually a 6-point socket. Spicy. These guys are really mixing it up for us there. Hot diggity damn. Alrighty, well, so much room to work on these. You know, you gotta love it. So we'll get this belt slipped off and tucked forward out of the way. All right, well, we're gonna play guess what size. I'm gonna go with a what are you guys feeling like? I'm thinking like an 18. Nah, let's go 21. 21, we'll try to pop this free. I'm already trying to think about how we're gonna get the damper out. I think we'll just go like forward towards the engine and then pick this radiator hose up like so and hopefully slide it out. I don't know, we'll figure it out. Okay, so in a world of OSHA violations, 24 mil socket, 1/2-inch ratchet, stopped up against the subframe here, held in by a ratchet strap, and that thing ain't going anywhere. All the way back to the cross member, and now if this works like every other generation of Duramax, I should be able to just bump the key, break that bolt free. Looking at all this, worst comes to worst, okay, hear me out. The plan is we will take the fan clutch off and go at it from the top, but I feel like it's a low mileage unit, it's not salty, you know. Let's just pray. Big thing I want to point out to you guys is, you notice how the belt is nowhere near this pulley. So in the event that this ratchet does fall off, number one, it's going to take out a little bit of our fan shroud, but that's okay. Number two, nothing else is going to get bound up because the fan or the pulley is off. Now, the engine spins clockwise, so you want to brace it against something on the passenger side if you're below the truck. So normally I would hit the frame. However, just the way this is laid out and my pure laziness is making me do it this way. So let's bump the key, see what happens. Now we'll go up here, bump the key, see what happens. Okay, you guys heard how it struggled and then it got real easy. Let me hop under here. I'm swear I'm not hiding anything, but this camera is getting hard. Hold on. Okay guys, no editing or nothing. You see this huge gap here? That means it took the bolt off. This is the easiest way I found to do it. You know, to some people this might be a little sketchy, and you know, I hear you, I really do. This is just the way I've found it easiest on the Duramaxes. And then when we go to tighten it, we will put the transmission locking tool in. I'll show you guys that when we go to put it on. But with this hose out of the way, I think we got enough room to slip the damper in and out. Certainly tight. I don't think the engineers at GM ever thought we were going to be modifying these quite like we are, but you know, here we are. So I'm going to go ahead and switch this out for a 3/8. Should be pretty easy to get out. I'm going to get this bolt taken out, get this damper pulled out, and then we're going to do a side-by-side comparison. All right, full disclosure, did have to disconnect the sway bar. It's unfortunate, but this behemoth was not coming out, and this one's even bigger. So I knew it had to come out. Now, let me grab the stock bolt and washer here. Very interesting, Duramax went away from the point design, excuse me, and went to this design. But as you can see, bolts are very similar. Well, a little deceiving now. But Fluidampr wants you to replace the factory washer and put a much smaller washer on, as you can see here. And now you can kind of see the stock versus not. Now, for sled pulling, we actually do need this SFI rating. I know there are a few other companies that make dampers. My experience with the aftermarket dampers in purely Cummins application, Fluidampr is the way to go. I had their competition fly off my crankshaft before. So as you can see here, quite a big difference. I know a lot of you guys are going to be curious. The stock L5P uses the same as like a Cummins. It has this rubber inlaid and then the inertia ring. As you can see, for 86,000 miles, I'm not going to try and say that this was about ready to fly off, but you can definitely see quite a bit of deterioration in that rubber there. Very interesting. We have paint flaking off. Look at that. Wow, what a gem. But now to show you guys the really cool part, let's go weigh these. Okay, so we got our official bathroom scale here. Very, very official, okay? This thing will make most women cry. All right. So we have the stock one weighing in at 17.2 pounds. Oh my God. And the Fluidampr, oh geez. Shut the scale off. Weighing in at 27.2. So again, that is, all right, 17.2 to 27.2. Now I know what you guys are thinking. Man, that's a lot of rotating weight. This, that, and the other. I'm a firm believer that sometimes on rotating weight, a little bit extra mass helps keep it center line in a way, kills some of the torsional vibration, because this is just a rubber ring, and essentially what happens is this is bolted to the crank. It's sitting there getting pulsed clockwise, right? For those of you guys that didn't know, if you actually watch a crankshaft, they do spin clockwise, but for a slight second, they kind of slow down. It's called like pulsation. This has this silica gel inside of here, and this is essentially a damper built in. So instead of it being this rubber insulator or isolator ring here, it's all built into this unit. And from what I can tell you on building Cummins trucks, and I know this might shock some of you, when you start taking weight off the crankshaft, the damper, all that, it's not good. We've had bent cranks, we've had rod bearings, we've had main bearing problems, we've had thrust problems. We've had the crank actually deflect enough where the crank position sensor wasn't reading correctly. So there are quite a lot of things that I've learned in the Cummins platform that really apply. I mean, an inline is definitely a little bit harder on it than a V8, I'll give you that. But from all of my research that I've read online, magazines, stuff like that, technical articles, plus my real world experience, I'm not surprised that that Fluidampr is 10 pounds heavier. And I bet you this motor will probably be a little bit quieter. And I really do believe in my heart of hearts here that that damper is going to save some of the life of this crankshaft. Now, obviously Duramaxes have this terrible problem of shearing the keyway, stuff like that. The Fluidampr is going to help with that. It's not the cure-all. But I do think it's going to help keep this crank from having a lot of rotational stress and torsion going backwards, and it'll give us a better center of gravity in a way for higher RPM. Now, being that this is a V8, this truck also does not have a red line, so it also doesn't know when to quit. You know, kind of food for thought here. And then on here, you guys see where I've dragged it across the ground. Sorry, Nick. But the damper face is flat. And then this is just something I do just to check. This is such a jewel to really put in there. You guys see it? Stands a little bit prouder. Plenty of room still for the fan. Yada, yada. Belt grooves are right. But it's so much heavier. And I think it's just going to make a huge difference. Even at 600 horsepower. I always tell people, if you're going to put a new damper on the truck, whether it's a 2nd gen, a 3rd gen, a 4th gen, a Duramax, a Power Stroke, you might just want to spend a little bit more coin and get one that is a lot better for your engine. So now I get to the amazing job of sliding this old girl up in there. I'm sure I'm gonna fight with it, but with the sway bar down, did make life a little easier. So moving on, I did open our instructions, just was curious on the torque spec here. I was correct, 325 foot-pounds. I knew it was a lot, so 325. They say to use anti-seize. I've always just used ARP lube, so I guess here we are not following instructions. And this kit does come with a diamond washer. I've seen a lot of guys get this wrong, okay? Diamond washer goes against the snout of the crank. I don't care if it's a 6 liter, a 6.4, a 6.7, a Cummins, or a Duramax. This goes on first, then this, and then in our case, this new supplied washer, and then this bolt. 325, no Loctite or anything. Please do not put Loctite on your bolts. I learned the hard way. It does not work. ARP lube for the dub. Now, we're going to get this shoehorned in there. I'll show it to you guys. I might even set up a time lapse. It's just so tight. I don't know how you guys do it in your driveway sometimes. Kudos to you. Better men than I. All right, so you guys can see our crank. There's our infamous pin that likes to shear off right there. And then obviously you have your crank seal right here, as well as part of your crankshaft. So we're gonna put our diamond washer here. I know it looks deceiving, guys, but this is your seal. This is metal. This is the crank. So I'm gonna try to get you guys set up where you can at least somewhat see here. Do my best. This Duramax is bad for my health, I tell you that. Okay, so once you've confirmed that your fluid dampener is lined up, I used an inspection camera. It's a very tight fit, tighter than OEM. The cheat code I've always found on these Duramaxes, you pry off of the fan clutch, just the pulley, and you kind of just walk it on ever so slightly, like so. You guys can see it kind of rocking back and forth there. And if you want, you can kind of, you just don't want to apply on the plastic. And the problem is the bolt's not long enough to start, even in a factory damper. Now on the factory ones, they just kind of slide in and out. Fluid dampener being a little longer and bigger, a little harder. So I'm gonna keep fighting a good fight up here with this pry bar. It's a little easier to do two-handed. And then I'll show you guys putting the bolt in, but other than trying to bench press that over your head while you're doing it, all in all, not terrible. Under the truck, obviously the reason why we don't want to impact this sucker is you can get it crooked and actually probably shear the keyway off, in my opinion. So I always put these in by hand. Yes, it's a pain. No, I don't like doing it, but here we are. So I got it probably a good, it's about, I'd say 3/4 of an inch from bottoming out. So we're about halfway started, but I just wanted to show you guys kind of the process here and why I do it the way I do it. It's mainly just to make sure that we don't break that keyway off And honestly, with the truck put together like this, with the lack of impact room, I guess it wouldn't matter, but that is why I do it. Being that we're almost done, I would say it's probably 50-50. If you have the tool to take the fan clutch off, it might have been easier with the fan out of the way. I don't know. It's hard telling. Like I said, about 50-50. But so far, not too bad. The only thing, like I said, Fluidampr is just a little tighter of a fit. The factory one kind of slid off by hand. This one's a little bit more finicky, but oh well. You guys see our ARP lube under there, ARP lube on the threads, ARP on this washer. We're just gonna fandangle this in here. Ah, man, I'll tell you what, you better be flexible if you want to own a Duramax. I'll tell you that right now. The only downside to this ARP is it's not tapered, so trying to get it to start, a little bit of a mess, but we got it in now. I'm just threading it in by hand. Once we get it close, we'll change over to the ratchet. But like I said, all this stuff, fine thread, sealed off. You should not be needing impacts and stuff to do this job. Okay, now comes the fun part. We're gonna come down here to your transmission. You guys see this little tab here? This little tab right here has to come out. So I just take a little breaker bar action here. Alright, hold on, I gotta look at this a little better. Okay. This one really does not want to come out. Like that. You take your tool, this tool here, and it's hard to show you guys, but inside here is your ring gear for your starter. I'm gonna slide this tool like that. Locks in. You guys will just have to trust me, but it's locked in up there. And basically this stops the engine from being able to spin. And for those of you guys that are like me and very simple-minded, it's attached to the ring gear, which is attached to the flex plate, which is attached to this attached to the crank, and that will allow us to spin. Now, if you don't want to use my starter trick, this tool would have already been in. Big kicker on this guy, okay? Make sure you pull it out before you start the truck, because that is no bueno. So we're gonna go ahead and now torque this bolt. Okay, if you can't tell by the air compressor in the background, I was wrong. Can't do it. Can't remember if I've done it that way on previous years or not. We don't do a ton of Duramax water pumps, and that's usually why you remove the damper. So anyway, fan clutch coming off. I got the belt on. Real quick, from what I have seen in my career, if a fan clutch pulley is smooth, you take it off lefty-loosey. If a fan clutch pulley has grooves, righty-loosey. So we're gonna get this knocked off. And just a quick rat-a-tat, and also drop your tool all the way down in the engine compartment here. Like so. We'll spin it off, and it holds true on the L5P as well. It is a regular right-hand thread, so just be careful. You guys can see that electrical connection down there. I'm hoping I don't have to disconnect it. Time will tell. I'm gonna get this unthreaded. Holy Santa Claus, you know what that is. You forget how much 325 foot-pounds is. Woo! I got it there. Actually, I got it to 323.9. So I guess if that 1.1 is the death of me, so be it. I think I about blew my testicles out. But there should be installed. Now we're gonna put this fan clutch on. And also, just a little trick for you guys if you're new. Once you've torqued this, just switch the directions ever so slightly, bump the engine backwards. That way you can get your tool out. and that would be this tool right here. Just pop her out, put your little handy dandy dust shield back in here, which I don't know why I always fight them coming out, but going in, piece of cake. I don't know, it's probably a me problem, let's be real. So now that that is done, peep our leaking oil filter. God, I hate that about this truck. Wish I could fix that. But anyway, that's in, this tool's out. Now, if for whatever reason you'll sidetracked, want to try your model early, at least that won't come flying off. So I'm gonna put the fan clutch back on. The only other things that we need to do is put our shield back on and our sway bar. But I'm gonna get this fan on so we can kind of wrap up the under of the hood. Shouldn't be too bad. Maybe I'll set you guys up on a time lapse if I find a good spot. Okay, tools are removed and accounted for. Intake's back on. Sticker has been installed on the truck. RIP to this UCC pit parking pass. If you guys are curious, I do collect all the stickers to the events I go, and I try to leave them on the truck. It's not really to be like a bro or anything like that. Just every time I get in the vehicles or whatever, it just kind of brings back a cool memory or whatever. Some of them, like the ones on my black truck, you know, just different milestones and stuff. This one, you know, I kind of UCC, it was my tow truck, and I do put stickers on here for the companies that support us, and I have like ODSS to remind me of the time Dylan came out here and drag raced, yada yada. Anyway, a little too sentimental for some of you. Let's fire this up. We might have a check engine light because I cranked it with the map sensor unhooked. Wow. Very trouble-free. Okay, so what do we got? I don't know what that is. Ice possible, drive with care, hood open, TPMS. Oh, that must be the travel with care. But we do have a check engine light. I'm assuming that is for the map sensor that's unplugged, but belt spinning true. I don't hear anything crazy. In closing, guys, big thank you to Fluidampr. They support my racing, they support our channel, and anytime we get a new vehicle, they're always like, hey, we sell a damper for that, so I always get one coming. Just shout out to Nick. If you guys don't follow Fluidampr, I suggest you do. They're pretty much on most ODSS vehicles, especially if it's Cummins. And then also follow Nick's polling channel. I'll drop a link. Poll on this. I wanted to make sure I had it spelled correctly. But check him out on YouTube. He does all kinds of tractor pulling. Nick's a big tractor pulling guy. I get the allure of it. Just pickup trucks are more my thing, but to each their own. Anyway, great guy. If you need a damper, you're not sure if you have one for your application, get with Nick. Best case scenario, he'll maybe get one special made for you, or more than likely they probably have one on the shelf. So another one of our vehicles is now equipped with a Fluidampr. Like I said, there was no problems with the stock one. I was surprised with the wear it had, but now I know. This truck, honestly, guys, I feel like it's going to be around for a while. I have a lot of fun with it. It's comfortable. I've already owned this truck longer than both my 2021 Rams and my 2015 Ram. So this one's coming up. I've almost had it a year now, and I just am enjoying a different platform, enjoying new relationships, and honestly, the emissions on stuff's quite interesting if you're into it. Now, I get it. The cool part about emissions on that I really think is just awesome as far as being a gearhead and stuff like that. In order for the emission system to work correctly, the engine has to operate very efficiently. Because of that, all of the upgrades and the tuning and the calibrations really have to be top notch, or else this emission system will either one, have an issue, or two, let you know that something is wrong. So really cool working in those parameters, and just the brilliant minds that maybe have gotten dinged from the EPA and are now focused on this. They've given this all their attention, and it really shows. Like calibrated power, they have been awesome. I've talked to Corey Willis about this truck at PRI. A lot of people really want to keep pushing it, and I'm excited for the future. We got a turbo coming, got some injectors coming. We have a fuel system upgrade if we need it, and I'm really excited to push this platform and try to get that 1,000 horsepower. And like I said, if the emission system lets go, we'll deal with that when the bridge comes, but I want to keep it mainly because it's nice traveling anywhere. I know that this truck's legal. And the other nice part is it's just really quiet. And I know I'm showing my age, but it is nice to have a quiet, comfortable truck. And this one being very relatively stock, I could take it anywhere, get parts for it. I can let my wife drive it. I can go on road trips with it. And there's something to be said about it. So anyway, guys, like I said, big thanks to Fluidampr. We got it on. Sorry, Nick, this video took so long to put up. It is what it is, dude. I apologize. That part's been here for months and months. We got it on. I think it sounds a little different. I guess the real test will be just over time. But again, I kind of covered why I like the heavier damper. I know there are some other trains of thought, and that's totally fine. Give this one a big thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel, and also subscribe to Fluidampr. Pull on this. Very good content. Whether you're into cars or tractors or trucks, they got something for you. Give this one a big thumbs up. Let me know what you think. Are you surprised to see that much wear? 86,000 miles. And thank you guys for watching. I'll catch y'all on the next one.